Good day. It gives me a great pleasure to introduce a book that myself and Susie Flaherty wrote. It just came out on the microbiome, human microbiome specifically. It is called Gut Feelings. This has been quite a project that Susie and I embarked now a few years ago that has been more challenging than I expected, given the fact that, by the time that we were starting to work on this project, the gut microbiome, microbiome in general, really took off as a science per se, having a tremendous impact on our state of health and why we eventually lose our state of health and develop disease. And because, the learning curve was very steep, it was not unusual by the time that we finished a chapter that was already obsolete because new science came to fruition. And to make the challenge even more complicated, in the midst of all this, the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic hits, and therefore we have to make further adjustment. Nevertheless, we believe that the final product is pretty robust, giving us still a state of the art of what is the microbiome in its complexity, how we co-evolve with the microbiome, how a friendly relationship with the microbiome will eventually keep us in a state of health, and how lifestyle that depart from a healthy composition and function of the microbiome may eventually derail our trajectory, switching from genetic predisposition to the outcome of diseases that we are predisposed for. The readership, it's vast. It's for people they are, technically into the microbiome field because they are expert in the matter, but also a good reading for people that really want to get more knowledge and more insights on how eventually we can exploit this parallel civilization to maintain our state of health and aging graciously, and eventually trying to minimize the impact of inappropriate lifestyle on our, state of health. The goal, of course, is not to just live longer life, but to be longer and healthier life. And the reading of this book probably will contribute to achieve that goal. So enjoy the reading. I hope that you will definitely, enjoy this book as much as Susie and I enjoy writing it. Thank you.
So thank you for the opportunity to say hello to the readers of Gut Feelings. It's wonderful that this book, which has been a labor of love as well, is out and available to the public. And I'd like to thank the folks at MIT Press. Alessio and I would like to thank Bob Pryor in particular, who had the vision to track us down and suggest this book and keep us going through the long period that it took to produce it. And as we came into the COVID period, it became even more challenging, but we made it through. We'd also like to thank the contributors to the book. The book is set in 3 parts. We have the overview, which goes through the ancestral microbiome, the prenatal, postnatal, the influences on the early microbiome, and also the virome, which was a fascinating chapter that I had a lot of fun with. And the second part of the book talks about the diseases associated with the microbiome. So we have a wealth of knowledgeable experts from around the world that contributed to that section. It's really good reading too. And the third part is a look toward the future with prevention, manipulating the microbiome, treatment of the microbiome, and that is the future. And the final section of the book is the epilogue. Alessio writes a beautiful section on what the future might bring for a particular disease and how we can look forward to things improving now that we have the microbiome hypothesis and how this affects our health. And finally, I'd like to just read a little section, a short section we added to the preface after COVID arrived in our world. And we added some material on COVID. We didn't add a lot, but we added where it was appropriate. And chapter 5 focused on the virome, and we had a small snippet on the so-called Spanish flu and the influenza, and that was kind of to illustrate what a flu can do to the world. And then lo and behold, after we had almost put the book to bed, COVID hit. So our best hope is that a highly collaborative and rapid response from the international research community, aided by industry and supported by thoughtful world leaders, will continue to develop effective treatments and vaccine candidates for COVID-19 by the time of this book's publication and beyond. And we're happy to see that the vaccines are now available, and the international community did come together to work on that, but we need so much more work in that regard. And as Alessio has said over and over, if we can harness this kind of collaboration and look forward to the microbiome and prevention and treatment of chronic inflammatory diseases and other diseases, that is the win-win for everyone. So happy reading, everyone, and thank you for reading Gut Feelings.